The light shining through every person I have met on this journey has filled my heart with joy, and I would even say ecstasy, and it was mutual. It was just flowing back and forth. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dearly beloved companions, I have longed to see you for several years now, since I had the profound blessing of meeting with you in Kenya. The journey was so beautiful, so profound, and one of many that I have been guided to make around the world. The teaching that is manifesting is expressed in the name of our website, www.uniteinthelight.net. That was a perfect expression of my journey to Kenya in 2022. I felt united with everyone, and there were people of all walks of life, people of different religions, all gathered together to celebrate God's grace and peace, that we may all unite in the light of God. And now you see, we're covered with snow. And it's another realm, another beautiful natural realm that reminds me of you all and the beauty of gathering together there. So I'll say to begin with, if anyone has the capacity to come to America and visit, our home is your home, as your home was my home. And I have not forgotten for a day or a moment how deeply I was welcomed in Kenya. Mustafa had sent me an invitation, and like most of the invitations I receive, I don't know really where I'm going, but God is calling us to go and unite with people around the world, to have abundant peace and blessing together, no matter where we may be, with whomever. What I do remember from all the pictures that were taken at the time is how beautiful the schools were. There were the Universities of Light. What a beautiful name for a school. And I visited them and met so many beautiful young people studying. Now, based upon conditions in the world today, some things have been torn apart. Some people have been taken into custody around the world at this time. That includes the most beautiful host I ever had, Mustafa. And how he treated me and everyone else could only be expressed as divinely inspired love and light and unifying force. We were all unified. When you see pictures of the children praying with me, I was at a school and sitting in the front and just talking about mysteries of my life and journey. And suddenly, all of these wonderful, beautiful students all stood up and raised their hands, singing to God's in praise of God, singing to God. And so then I slipped up into the front, and that became our kind of logo, is that all the students are brought together, and they don't see me as a stranger, as my father would sing. If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, it could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world. Oh, yes, it could be a wonderful world. If there were no poor and the rich were content, if strangers were welcome wherever they went, if each of us knew what true brotherhood meant, it could be a wonderful world. Oh, yes, it could be a wonderful world. This is the wonderful world that I found in Kenya when I was welcomed there with such beauty and love. When I came into the airport, there was a beautiful young woman who had taken care of every aspect of my flight, of my ticket, of anything I needed. It was all done. And she was standing there holding everything. And then after that was completed with my doing nothing, they took care of everything. We went outside, and there were many other people there, all loving each other so deeply and loving me and me loving them. And so, as much as I haven't been able to go back to Kenya again since then, it's always glowing in my heart, the memory, the beauty, the grace. And now, since I had such beautiful natural experiences in the pure nature of Kenya, I'm welcoming you to our home. And here is where the nature is flourishing in its way in Philadelphia. But everyone is welcome, deeply welcome. And the point of making this video is to welcome everyone and deeply to thank everyone I met in Kenya for receiving me and others so incredibly beautifully. And this includes people of different religions all getting together. As I felt before I came, I see it now. I see it now. Why? First, I arrived in this place itself, and it's so beautiful. The land of Kenya is beautiful, and this is called the Fitra, right? So not all countries are like this. You know, how the trees are blooming. It's a garden of God's grace here. In the midst of that, there are many different lessons to be learned, to behold. This is the most important message that I hear again and again: behold the signs of Allah in the horizons and in yourself. And so I behold, number one, since I arrived, I was so happy to see you guys at the airport, and you know, we came to this beautiful center. So I understood immediately that after leaving Turkey, this group of committed beings, of lovers of God, comes to this land and builds centers like this for education, for healing, for khidmah, you know. And this is just the first place I saw. Every day you sent me somewhere else, one or two other places where I kept seeing it's thriving. This work is thriving. What was happening in Turkey is happening now here. The mission is being accomplished. I see this. Now, the last place I just went was a university built by Hizmet, you know, and beautiful masjid, the most beautiful masjid is there. And we talk to the kids. Many are orphans, and they're all so refined. The day before, we went to an orphanage. It was not the same. It was very poor. You know, this is a manifestation of divine wealth. That was the other side. But the children are magnificent. They're noble. They're eloquent. And so that's what I've been focusing on and seeing. Not only the children, also the adults, right? But there's also the centers that are being built here for service. That's what Hizmet is for, you know, and it isn't even possible to deny it. It cannot be denied. I was just hearing from someone that people can be lifted up and taken away from here, but the work cannot be stopped. You know, the mission, the message of Allah's grace is pouring through the land. You know, every day I went to one or two or three other places and spoke to large groups of people. That includes Pakistani women at a beautiful masjid where young women are rising up and doing hidmah. You know, they have badges on that define them as huris, from my point of view. They're servants. So those people are trained like that. You know, then I was just at the school where so many people are being educated. We were at in the orphanage before that isn't even Muslim, really, yet, let's say. And yet the kids were so beautiful. I just held them in my arms. My life story goes back to many places like this. Allah keeps bringing me back to the children of the world and the orphans and the students, to embrace them. And as we pass the knowledge that has been given to us to them, and they grow up in it, with it, then it's as though we saved all lives. We're saving all lives, because if you save one life, you save everyone. So, but what's happening here is a plenitude of development. And I don't know how long, exactly how many years, but it's so obvious and beautiful and divinely inspired. And I know there are more challenges to come for everyone. That's why we say that there can be constriction, expansion, and then real birth. And that will bring the whole organization up into its purpose, its fulfillment, the fulfillment of the purpose. Which is another thing that I learned as a child with my father, and my stepmother, because we were always very deeply connected with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and the movement to bring all people together. And that's how I grew up in my childhood. And then my father would be singing songs about global and racial equality and human equality. Now, here's where God led us. We are across the street from a very, very holy, beautiful Sufi fellowship. And we are all welcome there too. I know that. I came there after I was in Palestine. In Palestine, I met my first sheikh, and at a place called Masjid al-Aqsa, I realized that all the prophets had prayed together in this holy place, and that the archangel, Jibril, had guided our beloved prophet to the position of being the imam for all the prophets, all the messengers. This is the theme of our life. This is the purpose of our life, is to realize how united is the divine assembly. That's inclusive. Nobody is deprived or disregarded or disrespected. And at this time, in what we see happening in some parts of this country, for example, and elsewhere, the opposite is taking place. That people are not being treated with all the love that we feel is they deserve. That's inclusive of everyone. We love these people, and that includes every single person I met in Kenya. And I was treated with such grace and beauty, never judged, never questioned, ever. The same thing happened in my earlier travels, because I spent several years just walking around the world, guided by the divine light, to go from one holy place to another and meet the people everywhere. And I've noted that no one really asked me if I was American. When they saw me, I would be praying in many places and on trains, etc. And we were all connected by one thing: prayer. And when I went to different places, I was just guided to places in India where so many people were assembled, gurus and disciples, all praying together. And that went on from one place to another. It included uh, eventually Cape Town, South Africa, 22 trips to Senegal, where the sheikh who was hosting me asked me to unite with the men and speak together, sing and speak together, pray together. So and I was brought up with this very teaching in my childhood. And then step by step, I was guided to one fellowship after the next, where this beautiful tradition was living, manifesting truly. And it's the answer to what we see happening that is not like that. To people, immigrants being mistreated, and people of different countries being separated and then imprisoned, sometimes terribly. And so our teaching is the very opposite. And what Sheikh Baba Muhyiddin radiallahu anhu said, who was the sheikh across the street from here, he left the world was 150. And a couple of weeks before he left the world, we asked him, where will we find you after this? He said, in your heart. I am in your heart. You find me there. And that is just exactly how we have felt. Now, when we talk about someone who is so close to us, so deeply connected, as is the brother I have mentioned, who's in prison now, only because he was so dedicated to goodness, and someone else didn't understand that, didn't understand what this movement is all about that brings everybody together. So what Bawa said is, precious jeweled lights of my eyes, you who were born with me as the light within my light, the life within my life, you must love all lives as your own. That's what we're told to do. And what a blessing it is to live like this, to love and love and love. And you can come to any new land, as I did earlier on, just get on the train in India. And here you have all the sadhus there in their clothes, etc., doing their prayers. Me too. Who am I and who are they? And what is the difference? And that's certainly what I felt in Kenya. I felt that so deeply, and I felt so deeply welcomed and embraced and embracing. As much as you're embraced, you must embrace. And I felt so much love for everyone as I felt coming from them to me. We want to share all of our love with the people who treated us with such nobility and such exalted care in Kenya, as in other places, such as Senegal. And what I want to focus on now is how much I love the people I have met everywhere on the journey to God, on the journey from Allah to Allah, the journey from the world of souls to the to paradise that comes after this life. And all of it was training, preparation. Now, when I came to Kenya, it was so much like that. I felt like at first the beautiful woman had everything prepared for me. Everything. That never happened on a trip. Usually you have to stand on long lines, not in Kenya, not for me. And then when we went out of the building and we're getting ready to move on into the realms of the land of Kenya, the beautiful host was there and many others. I was surrounded by very beautiful people. And the same thing happened on all the trips that I was taken on around the land of Kenya, from one to the next. That includes the universities of peace, incredibly beautiful buildings. And I met orphans. I danced with the orphans and prayed with orphans, and then met orphans who were get training to become imams. And we spoke so beautifully together, right next to the universities of peace. Well, the travel around the land of Kenya was from one assembly to another. Very different types of people, but all united. But everybody like resonating, radiating love. And I felt completely at home, totally. And then at one point, I was taken to a gathering in a Pakistani mosque. And the person who represented Pakistan to Kenya was sitting right next to me. We bonded very much. And there was just so many beautiful things taking place, you know, songs of light. And here we have this group. The quality of this organization is to be completely inclusive, and every group is welcome. And what that group does is to be celebrated, and we need to learn from each other. Each one sings in a slightly different way. So that's what I found very strongly present, and I felt completely received and welcomed. So I was the stranger that was received everywhere. That's what I found on my journey. Yeah, still do, still do. So, like that, wherever I was guided to, there was a sharing of divine grace to restore humanity. And this is what is needed now, as much as ever before. So now that we are on the other side of the beautiful journey to Kenya, we are in a world where many innocent people are being imprisoned and taken away. So I want to reunite with the people of Kenya, with the people of Palestine, with the people of Pakistan, India, the people I met everywhere. with the people of Philadelphia, of Sri Lanka. That's where I went to work with Bawa on a beautiful, beautiful project. And when I came to Bawa, when I came to meet him after being in Jerusalem, and we had a book that we were taking notes, like from people of different religions, what they felt in their families. And when I met Bawa, he said, "Don't." We were going to publish the book. He said, "You can't make peace in the external Jerusalem. Make peace in the Jerusalem in your heart, and the people will come to to receive that blessing." And that's what happened. Like in Kenya, where all the girls, they heard me say something. I don't know what I was talking about. And they all got up and raised their hands to God, singing, you know? Well, so this is not personal. It's all related to the love of Allah for all of his creations and the healing of humanity from the torments of darkness that are trying to tear things apart throughout the ages. But I wanted to, bring this to some degree of completion by sharing my profound gratitude to the people of God's grace, those guided by God's grace, those inspired and directed by the grace of God to welcome me. What a beautiful gift from God it has been to meet his children, his followers, his worshipers all around the world. We want to love our lives wherever they may be. And this is what Sheikh Bawa said to us day after day. He would say, "Precious jeweled lights of my eyes, you who were born with me as the life within my life and the light within my light, may you love all lives as your own." That's our training. It's what we were told to do. We have snow on the ground, but the trees are still blossoming, and you are welcome here, including heart to heart, really. And that I just want to give my contact information to everyone and be ready to answer the phone or receive an email, and be so grateful for what God gave us all together. Abundant blessings and peace, beloved companions. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Ya Rabbi, Salli wasallim. Ameen, ameen, ameen.